Excuse me. So basically what I want to start off with doing is talk about like my college list and how I sort of came up with it. So I sort of started with applying to the majors that I wanted to do. So, engineering, computer science, electrical and computer engineering. And then I sort of went through the rankings and then just sort of picked a bunch in each sort of category. So I picked maybe like one or two from the 1 to 15 range, and then maybe 3 or 4 from the 15 to 25 range, and then maybe a couple more after that, like from the 25 to 35 range. So I sort of did that, and then when I looked through it, as you'll see sort of later, I matched sort of my stats with the mid 50% range, and I'll show you more how to do that later. But as for how I came up with the schools, I went to their website, I sort of researched, looked at the dorm life, looked at how many kids there were. I come from a pretty small private school, so I wanted maybe a smaller environment, maybe a little bit of a more cozy environment for me to learn in. And then for how many of each, I'll sort of talk. I had maybe 3 or 4 reaches, I'll go into that later, and then maybe 5 or so targets, and then 3 or so safeties. Okay. Before I sort of go into that, I'll talk about the 3 like tiers for colleges that you'll have. So you have your stats, you have your extracurriculars, you have your GPA, your essays, and all of that. So a safety is a school that you have a 75% chance or above of getting into. So it's your surefire thing. So if all of the colleges don't work out, you still have that last one college where you're going to get in, so you're going to go to college. So I would recommend having maybe 2 or 3 of these. The college process is very, it's not the greatest. You can't really predict. It's very unpredictable is what I'm trying to say. So having a good amount of safeties is worthwhile. And then target is around, I think, maybe 35% to 60%, let's say. It's like, it's at your level. You get in, you don't, it's not a surprise. If you don't get in, it's not a surprise if you get in. You know that you're on the level of that school. Reaches are when you have maybe 15% or lower. So, don't count on them at all. If you get in, it's a really lucky day. If you don't get in, it's probably expected. So those are the sort of 3 tiers. You can have reaches are also called unlikelies, I think. And then safeties are also called, there are a bunch of names for them, but just know it's reach, target, safety, target, reach is sort of how I'll be designating it. So for your college do's and don'ts, I have a couple of things that I want to go over. So, So do make sure you have enough safeties. Like I said, the college process is extremely unpredictable. You don't really know how much or how well you're going to do. It depends a lot of times on, the incoming batch, what the college is looking for, just who they need at that point. The other thing that people tend to do is they tend to say, oh, if you want so many safeties, it means that you can't have enough reaches. And that's not what I'm trying to say. So, have your 2 or 3 safeties, but, apply to all of the reaches that you want. Apply to 15 reaches if you want. Just make sure you have those 2 or 3 safeties. It doesn't hurt to apply to those reaches. You might as well. You're going through this process once, maybe. I don't know if you should go through it multiple times for your own sort of sanity and mental health, but, apply to all of the reaches, all of the targets that you want. Don't burn yourself out, but make sure to have your 2 or 3 safeties. And then don't try to say like, oh, this process, I'm sort of a lock for this. No one's really a lock for any sort of target or reach. Safeties, yeah, but target or reaches are very unpredictable to sort of try. So don't try to talk yourself into saying, oh, I only have the bandwidth for 2 more applications. I'll drop a safety so then I can have the bandwidth for 3. No, make sure that you have your safeties and have that base where you're absolutely sure if nothing works out, I'm going to go here and I'm going to be happy here.